We're gonna be watching a video called 8 That Couldn't Be Contained. Basically, we're just watching a monkey video. If you don't like monkey videos, I'm sorry.
Welcome to a behind-the-scenes VIP visit to the world's most famous zoo, the San Diego Zoo.
It's a wildlife. Wow. I always wanted to visit the San Diego Zoo.
The San Diego Zoo, the world-famous wildlife haven bursting with vibrant life. Nestled in the Balboa Park, this sprawling 100-acre zoo is home to thousands of rare and endangered creatures from across the globe. Pulling in millions of visitors every year, each exhibit offers an up-close glimpse into the wonders of the animal kingdom. With its lush tropical landscapes and immersive habitats, the San Diego Zoo really is a full-on adventure.
Have you guys ever been to the San Diego Zoo or what?
San Diego Zoo welcomed a new addition. An orangutan was born.
Oh, it's so cute!
Decided he would be named Ken Allen after the two.
Oh, Ken Allen's so cute.
Ken Willingham and Ben Allen. And this ape's time at San Diego Zoo would go on to be nothing shy of remarkable.
Oh.
So, after his birth, young Ken Allen didn't have the greatest start in life. It appeared that his mother was sadly failing to properly for him, nearly accidentally smothering him. So,
oh, it's so cute!
Ken's safety to separate.
He looks kind of ugly, but he's kind of cute.
Well, as a young adolescent, Ken seemed to quickly acclimatise to his enclosure and loved the company of his zookeepers and other humans alike. A very sociable, intelligent young ape. And like all young, playful apes, Ken was quite the troublemaker. But it was at nightfall when Ken would really shoot into action. One night, as the San Diego Zoo closed its doors and Ken's keepers were heading home after a long day's work, it seemed that Ken didn't particularly like the idea of being left confined to his small metal prison.
He doesn't want to be caged up.
Unscrew the bolts of his cage to free himself, and once out, he'd just roam around his nursery.
How does a monkey unscrew his cage? Unless like the bolts were really loose, then sure, he could escape by unscrewing it. But I don't think people would make a cage to contain an animal have the bolts be really loose. I'm pretty sure this monkey's grip strength is so strong that he could just literally just take a grip on it and then twist it. Yo, his grip strength, insane. He's orangutan? Yeah, he's orangutan. If you shake this monkey's hand, yo, your hand's gone.
So the next morning, as staff arrived, there they found Ken playing with his toys as his cage sat dismantled behind him. Assuming there'd just been some sort of structural error with the cage framework, the zookeeper simply put it back together again, and as night drew in, they led Ken back into the newly assembled cage.
Oh my god, don't tell me he's gonna unscrew it again. Just look at his eyes. His eye says, I'm gonna escape tonight again.
Well, Ken had made a note of this. So that night, as their shifts ended and the zookeepers left, once again, Ken started to unscrew the...
Ow! How do you unscrew it? How is this monkey's strength so strong?
...of his cage and simply messed about.
Let's go. He's doing some monkey business. Ew! Ew!
He loved the...
Let's go, monkey business.
...was different. Ken had learned that the morning was when the zookeepers would start their shifts and return, and he wasn't going to be caught out again. So after yet another night of freedom, as the sunlight slowly crept in through the window of his nursery, this time around, Ken climbed back into his cage and started re-securing the bolts as if nothing had happened.
When
the keepers entered the nursery that morning...
How's he so smart?
...sat well-behaved in his cage as if he'd been there the entire night.
Yo, he's like...
The plan would go on for
he's literally like a genius in his past life. I'm pretty sure... Okay, look, listen. This monkey, maybe in his past life, was like a super genius. And then, like, you know, maybe died of old age. And then reincarnated back into a monkey. I mean, I don't know if you've seen that video where the longest phrase of a monkey, what a monkey said is like, me give orange, me eat. Give orange, meat, give orange, me eat. Give orange, me eat. Yo, Ken Allen, this orangutan in this video would be so sophisticated, like, oh yes, I would like an orange, please, Mr. Zookeeper. Dude, if this monkey can talk, it'd be so mind-blowing.
For a few nights, he would unscrew the cage, play in the nursery, return to the cage, and then reassemble it. Everything would swimmingly. But there was one small thing that Ken didn't account for.
Yo, Ken is actually so smart.
That when they'd return in the morning, whilst Ken was sat content in his cage, his toys weren't in the places that the staff had left them the night before. So that night,
so they know that he's escaping.
They pretended to leave, but rather than heading home, they sat quietly outside of Ken's nursery and waited. And after a while, as they expected, they started to hear noises. So they abruptly burst into the where they saw Ken, cage dismantled, playing with his toys. So the jig was...
Oh, he just wants to play with his toys, though!
And that put a stop to his late night antics once and for all. But trust me when I...
Wait, what did it say? Cannot be unscrewed by ape's finger. Honestly, yo, these guys, the zookeepers, are getting outsmarted by a monkey. And we say humans are like the smartest animal in this planet. No, it's this monkey. It's this monkey, Ken Allen. He's the smartest thing on this planet.
But trust me when I say, this was merely the beginning when it came to Ken Allen. Things for San Diego Zoo would get far worse. Skip forward a few years, and the zookeepers felt it was finally time for Ken to be shown off to the public.
Ken so ego no!
Prior. Well, when Ken first moved in, he wasted no time in turning his hand to mischief. When a film crew turned
to
document the gorilla enclosure next door, Ken decided to hurl rocks at them. And then when he ran out of rocks, he used his own shit. And seeing Ken fashioning branches into DIY ladders that he would then thump into the ground with his own fist, climb up to the top, and then climb all the way back down. Now it's important to...
What? No fucking way, hold on. You're telling me this orangutan can makeshift a ladder with branches and then literally secure it into the ground so he doesn't fall off the ladder, climb up it, no one noticing him climbing up it, and then climb back down. That's actually like super crazy that Ken can come up with this stuff. Just mind-boggling at this point.
To note that Ken wasn't alone in this enclosure. Keepers decided that maybe it was best that he had some company this time around. So they placed him in an enclosure with a bunch of other orangutans.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
A number of female orangutans.
Oh, okay.
Named Otis.
Wait. Otis, yo, Otis kind of looks different.
And one other male.
Uh-oh. Otis is so
stinky.
Yo. Otis, dude. Honestly, I think Otis and Ken would be best of friends. Plus, there's other ladies, monkey ladies in the same enclosure too, so...
Named
best of friends.
Now, if you know the first thing about the animal kingdom, 2 males and a bunch of females doesn't usually end too well.
Yeah.
Ken grew to despise Otis.
Oh. Okay, I guess they're not best friends then. That's crazy. You know what? I can see why Ken doesn't like Otis. Yeah.
Blooded hatred, resulting in numerous feuds. So the zookeeper's idea of giving Ken some company had seemingly backfired. So they cut horses and moved Ken into his own enclosure.
Did Ken beat up Otis?
Alone once again. Now let's have a
Oh no.
Ken was alone. What did he do?
Free Ken. Free Ken.
So on the 13th of June 1985, a 14-year-old Ken Allen managed to climb up the wall of his enclosure and got out. Now what exactly did Ken do after his valiant escape? Well, he very confidently just strolled around the zoo amongst visitors, minding his own business, observing the other animals. Oh, look at the elephants.
Yo, that actually...
Or agitated. In fact, Ken loved the attention.
Yo, if I were at the zoo and I just see a random orangutan just walking around, like, yo, I would go up to it. Yeah, I might be mauled and like maybe killed, but you know, I get to see a orangutan up close in person.
Well, this escapade went on until the zookeepers were made aware of Ken's escape. Now they knew that if Ken was to attack anybody, they would be forced to put him down.
Because of his strength, because he is a wild animal, the potential is there to do harm, to hurt somebody badly.
No, is this another coming of Harambe? Don't let it be like Harambe. A second coming of Harambe. Wait, no, this is in the past. Never mind.
Slightly panicked.
Never mind.
But he caused no trouble at all, and then they quickly led him back to his enclosure.
Yeah, yo, Ken just wants to chill and like just...
was chilled, enjoying his day spent roaming the zoo. The same could have...
Exactly, he just wants to chill.
They were having a meltdown. They knew if news of Ken Allen's escape went public, they would have a PR disaster on their hands. But of course...
Yeah, no, definitely. Can you imagine? Headlines, monkey escapes.
Members of the public.
Walk around guests.
Staff at the San Diego Zoo prepared for the worst. But rather than the expected PR disaster, Ken Allen became somewhat of a local hero, and it actually
Let's go.
was.
He became a
With
legend.
everyone reading the news about Ken, people just had to see for themselves, and the zoo attendance skyrocketed. Well, despite the media buzz, behind the scenes, San Diego Zoo were doing all they could to prevent another escape. Sure, the attention was great, but one instance of an
Dude.
escaped ape was enough for them.
One
So
singular
officials
monkey
decided
made the
to
San Diego Zoo
Ken's
famous.
So they installed a moat around the perimeter of his enclosure. And
Wait, is that actually Ken? No, wait, please don't tell me that's Ken. Ken looks much more handsomer than that.
around the perimeter of his enclosure and installed a 250-foot wall.
Holy shit, 250-foot wall, goddamn.
It worked. Crisis averted. The security measures successfully contained Ken Allen. For all of a few weeks, that is. Because on the 29th of July, 1985, Ken managed to escape again.
That's
He made his
crazy.
way over the moat, and just like his last escape, the 250-pound orangutan effortlessly scaled his enclosure wall. And yet again, he did the same, just casually strolling around the zoo amongst visitors, even posing for selfies. But this time,
Yo, that's so sick.
to do on his day trip. So as the zookeepers were once again made aware of Ken's escape, they frantically ran out to the zoo for a second time to capture Ken. And there they found him, stood over an enclosure. But this time, he wasn't looking at the pretty elephants. There Ken was, picking up rocks and pelting them at none other
Otis.
Otis.
Yo, Ken's ruthless. He literally escaped just to attack his enemy. He didn't care about the guest. He didn't care about any other animal. He hates Otis. He wants Otis gone. Poor Otis. Otis just chilling there being a dumb monkey, and then here comes Ken pelting him with rocks and all that.
And sworn enemy. Well, this second escape escalated the media hype around Ken. The already packed San Diego Zoo had more and more visitors each day, all eager to see Ken Allen, the ape that could not be contained. But yet again, as for the
Yo, Ken is so cool, dude.
increase in ticket sales, they simply could not let this happen again. 2 escapes was already far too many. Things were really...
They don't want a
getting
third
serious now.
escape, to be
Every
honest.
effort the zookeepers had applied to try and halt Ken's escapes was failing. They needed to really step things up this time around. So for the time being, they moved Ken into an indoor pen that reportedly had a black and white television that featured just one channel. So
Oh,
as Ken
okay.
sat and watched TV, the staff started to draft a plan to further...
Say they literally just wanted him, keep him distracted as much as possible.
Fortify the place properly. So as the staff gathered around and started pitching ideas, meanwhile, outside of zoo grounds, after the media had caught wind of the second escape,
Do you think it'd be kind of not harmful, but like to put up like electric fences to like prevent animals escaping? Not like at the bottom, but like at the very top where like the guests are. If they touch them, it gives them like a small shock and they'd be like, oh, okay, don't touch this. And then like leave them alone. I don't know if that's cruel or not. No, like, it's okay. It'll be like another fence for the guest, or they can't reach the fence, you know, the electric fence.
things had gotten bonkers. Ken Allen had become somewhat of an icon. Free Ken Allen t-shirts started popping up all over the place.
Perfect. Hashtag free Ken Allen.
All over San Diego. A group of pensioners formed a Ken Allen fan club, aptly named the Orang Gang, complete with a monthly
That's actually crazy that Ken got super famous by just escaping.
Named Dennis Gersten released a single, The Ballad of Ken Allen.
They even made a song about him. Yo.
Was getting weird. Headlines started referring to
Ken is literally a legend now.
A name that fit him perfectly. So back at the zoo, with all eyes on them, the staff started their efforts to beef up Ken's main enclosure once and for all. So with the master plan finished, they started by surrounding...
What kind of other things that they can prevent this monkey from climbing? I'm pretty sure if they put like a rock wall again, why don't you just make it smooth so they can't like hold on to stuff? Why put like this rock wall? Just make it smooth so they just like slip off so they don't climb up the wall.
The wall with a powerful electric fence.
Great minds think alike. Okay, maybe not great minds, but like they put an electric fence so they won't escape.
they hired a pair of professional rock climbers to try and scale the enclosure wall so staff could seek out the foot and handholds and patch over them, making a chance of a route to the top virtually impossible.
Making the walls smoother, straight up and down, taking all the little bumps and ridges out of the wall that he could possibly get a handhold on.
Also, the keepers had noted that Ken would
I'm gonna predict Ken will climb up the wall somehow.
Enclosure alone. And of course, when they attempted to put him in enclosure with other orangutans,
Oh.
the only real issue was the fact that there was another male, Otis. Zookeepers decided
Get rid of Otis, dude!
to introduce some female orangutans.
Yeah.
Graded enclosure.
Just literally get rid of Otis.
Males, in the hopes that the company might calm him down. So with the big security
Oh.
renovations finally complete, they decided
Ken Allen, the player. Okay.
prison. He'd watched enough black and white TV, and they released him into the newly upgraded enclosure. But
Oh,
that
that's
wasn't
actually
all
crazy.
The staff had up their sleeve. This time, they decided it was best that they monitored Ken, see what he got up to, learn his habits, see if he was acting fishy. But this is Ken Allen
Yeah.
we're talking about. This is what.
Why don't they just have like a security guard just watching Ken?
Dressed in zoo uniform, he couldn't act out or pull any wise moves, as he knew they were watching. This time, the staff were one step ahead of Ken. So to get round this, they would disguise themselves in normal, casual clothing, blue jeans, Hawaiian shirts, sunglasses, as if they were just regular old bystanders visiting the zoo. That way, they could watch Ken and he'd have no idea they were members of staff. A tactic that the zoo coined guerrilla tactics. Okay, 1 gold star for that one, San Diego Zoo. I'll give it to you. So how did it all go? Well, their plan worked. Ken didn't try to escape. So there Ken was, busy not escaping, relaxing, sitting around. Oh, he has a crowbar. It seemed that Ken had discovered the tool when it had been seemingly left behind by a construction worker. Not particularly wanting to approach a crowbar-wielding orangutan, the zookeepers watched over helplessly. But to their relief, Ken threw it aside, landing at the feet.
What kind of dumbass construction worker would leave a crowbar in an enclosure? And how does no one see there's a crowbar there? It's literally like a red thing that you can visibly see from a mile away.
A fellow orangutan, Vicky. Now, knowing she was far calmer than Ken, the keepers weren't too worried about her, until that is, they heard a large crunch and Vicky had used the crowbar to try and pry open the glass of the enclosure window in an attempt to free herself and Ken. That's right, Ken had seemingly upped his intelligence level and was training other orangutans to aid him in his escape.
No way he's actually teaching them.
Pretty clever, as if they learned from the master himself.
There must be some kind of orangutan communication going on here.
Thankfully, for zoo staff, this time around, they caught Ken and Vicky almost instantly before they made it out to the public and then re-secured the window. So after making sure all the loose tools were secure and feeding the construction worker to the alligators, it seemed that Ken, for the most part, was behaving himself.
Oh, he's just playing with his toys now.
He scaled the wall, despite the rock climber's best efforts, but when he eventually reached the electric fence, he lightly pushed it, got quite the zap, and quickly made his way back down.
He climbed up the wall, bro! He still climbed up the wall when they try to make it smoother. Oh my god, just literally make the whole wall smooth.
The San Diego Zoo had outdone themselves. Finally, all the work the staff had put in had seemingly worked to keep Ken Allen at bay. Ken started to settle down, and the media started to report that he'd become somewhat of a family man, and it looked as if his escape...
Oh, okay, so he's settling down now.
But it seemed that Ken was simply buying his time, because 2 years later, the pump that fueled the moat around Ken's enclosure had conveniently clogged, drying up the moat completely, and this allowed for a clear and easy path to the wall. Ken then sat patiently and waited for the moment that the power to the electric fence was shut off for maintenance. How he knew this is still a mystery, but with the timing being perfect, he capitalized, making a bolt for it. And once again, after his 2-year hiatus, he'd come out of retirement, and it was like he'd never stopped. Back to his old ways, he strolled around the zoo, taking photo after photo. Everybody raving.
Dude!
Ken Allen, Harry Houdini, the ape that could...
How does he know when the power power comes off and
He saw the guards approaching in the distance.
holy, this actual monkey is super
He
smart.
made a bolt for the lion enclosure, dodging and weaving, making the most of his free
Go Ken, go Ken! Hashtag free Ken Allen!
pushing the boat out this time. This was the furthest away Ken had ever been from his enclosure. Fearing that Ken was going to climb into the lion enclosure and be their next meal, staff were hot on his heels, and after 3 long hours, he was eventually cornered by gun-wielding zookeepers and led back to his enclosure. Luckily, the zookeepers knew that the only reason the escape was possible was due to the moat drying up and the power shutting off. Once repaired, the fortifications that had worked for 2 years would still be up to scratch. But while secure, what the keepers had underestimated once more was the fact that Ken had roommates. Things have been going great, but we all know
Oh
how things
no.
go when you surround Ken with female.
He had accomplices.
Isn't exactly the best influence on the ladies. But it wasn't Ken this time. One day before the zoo opening time, Jane and Kumang had found a 5-foot long handled squeegee that a cleaner had accidentally left in the enclosure. And
Alright, who the heck leaves a squeegee in the enclosure? Whoever left this stuff needs to be fired immediately. Why would you leave anything like that in the enclosure? Actually stupid.
inspired by Ken, the two somehow used it to climb up the wall and hop out. Jane apparently wandered into...
Don't kill me. They actually escaped too.
Stopped some of their sodas and was found roaming around near the flamingos, where she had to be tranquilized and returned to her enclosure. And thankfully, Kumang willingly returned. But while she was the tame rapist,
Ah, nice.
Kumang wanted her own chapter in the adventure book. She managed to escape 2 additional times.
Oh, yo, another Ken Allen?
Twig. The first time, she was found sat playing in a garden bed where she was tranquilized. Then the second time, she was sat outside the monkey enclosure, and when approached by staff, she climbed on top of the bird sanctuary where she was tranquilized again. In fact, Kumang's mischief actually got the group put in solitary confinement once more, whilst the keepers made the wiring system more complex, upgraded the doors, and went around with them.
Wait, did they actually... Wait, hold on. Let me rewind a bit.
Additional times by shortening the electric fence wires with a twig.
Why are they able to access the electrical box? Like, is that not supposed to be somewhere safe where nobody can reach it but like the maintenance people? That's my question.
She was sat outside the monkey enclosure, and when approached by staff, she climbed on top of the bird sanctuary where she was tranquilized again. In fact, Kumang's mischief actually got the group put in solitary confinement once more, while the keepers made the wiring system more complex, upgraded the
They
doors,
short-circuited the circuits with a fucking stick, dude.
to aid an escape. So even though Ken was in retirement, he was still seemingly costing the zoo money through his students. At this point, the zoo reportedly spent a whopping $45,000 on security over the course
Oh
of
my
this
god, they spent that
As
much
Ken
just for him and his accomplices.
escapes at San Diego Zoo really had finally come to an end this time. Ken was living a simpler life in his enclosure, sat relaxing, eating, and flipping off children that walked by. Ken settled down for years.
Yo, fuck them kids.
Behave himself and stayed put in his enclosure. He had truly given up on his old ways. Well, in the winter of 2000,
Yo, I can relate to Ken Allen so much.
he was moving erratically and seemed uncomfortable, so the staff sent him in for a visit with the zoo doctor. Ken was diagnosed with B-cell lymphoma, a form of blood. Now,
No!
at first, doctors weren't too worried, as Ken was still young and fit,
No.
would most likely be able to fight off the disease. But sadly, as time went on, Ken's condition deteriorated, and the cancer had become more aggressive. The cancer that was now...
No!
The zookeepers decided that rather than letting Ken suffer, at the age of 29, on December 1st, 2000, Ken Allen was euthanized.
Options for chemotherapy.
No, Ken! No!
Mainly geared towards making Kenny as comfortable as possible. His condition had worsened over the last several days. Ken brought great joy to the San Diego Zoo for over 29 years. The loss of this type of animal is a great loss to our organization. This is a sad day at the San Diego Zoo. At 11:05 today,
No,
Ken was
Ken.
put down.
The Orangang published a 2-page spread as a
No, rest in
Allegedly
peace,
candle
Ken.
vigil
No!
stating he would have done the same for us. To this day, a plaque sits in San Diego Zoo in Ken Allen's honor. So there you go. The story of Ken Allen's numerous escapes from the San Diego Zoo. $45,000, t-shirts, bumper stickers, a fan club, a single, and a hell of a tale.
Just a year before Romy. Let's go. No! No! The 2 greatest monkeys in history passed away. No! Rest in peace, Ken. Rest in peace, Harambe. Dude.